Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about changing out the board of your H.E. Williams troffer style fixture. Here are some of my favorite tools for working on H.E. Williams light fixtures. Trim removal tool for getting the lens off. This plastic tool prevents you from damaging the lens or scratching the fixture. A selection of magnetic nut drivers are handy. Of course, a Phillips screwdriver. This happens to be a 6-in-1 with small and large on one end or the other. And then a 5/16 or a 1/4 inch nut driver. And then generally, our boards are usually held on with a T20 Torx fastener. Again, I'm using a hand tool to reduce the risk of stripping any screws out. Now we're ready to change out the LED board. It's best to use a non-marring tool like the plastic trim removal tool. There's going to be some tabs in here, and you're going to want to work that in there off of the first tab, and the second tab popped off for me nicely. Of course, you don't have the luxury of being on a table. You're going to be in the air, so you want to be careful to set your stuff aside and not lose track of it. Of course, at this point, you'll have already turned off the power to the circuit and secured it to the appropriate rules of your own facility. T20 is the screw that holds this on, is the type of nut that holds this on. I will warn you that this is not a very magnetic screw, so be careful as you're removing this to not lose track of it. Depending on the style of your fixture or the construction, you may have 2 screws, you may have 4 or 5 screws. Some boards are held in also additionally with these clips formed into the metal, so you have to pull that aside a little bit. There's just a little burr there. Okay, so it's easiest to get the wires removed from here. You can pull a little bit out. A twisting action and a pulling action will do that. And now you've removed the board. To reinstall the board, you want to carefully confirm that the polarity is not reversed anywhere and no wires are damaged or pinched under any part of the fixture or driver. Red is the positive. Some boards, this is a top connector board, and we'll talk about a back connector board or a bottom connector board. This board has no markings on the back side. So there's that positive mark. Make sure you can see that. You want to gently insert that. It's not impossible to put that in too far and end up with the plastic insulation past where it needs to be to make proper contact. So go ahead and do that. So let's say you've changed your boards, but your fixture still doesn't work. You've already verified that your driver is putting out the appropriate voltage, usually around 30 volts DC. I'll mention that this fixture just has one board, but in fixtures with multiple boards, reverse polarity at any one of those 4 boards, for example, or reverse polarity in the driver, which is back here, will cause all 4 boards not to work. Correcting that is as easy as finding that issue, putting the wires back in the correct polarity, and all 4 boards, every board I should say, on that driver will go back to functioning as expected. This is a good time to kind of push your wires back in there. Line up your screw holes to the cleats, and you'll just have to come over here a little bit. There's that. You want to be gentle with these screws. If you go too far, you'll risk going through the protective coating on the LED, and that's why we like to use the hand tools for out in the field here. All right, we have changed a board out. Your fixture may differ. If it does, feel free to contact us and we will get you specific details on that. Thank you for joining us today.